Life is not much fun if you work as a typist in an office, and you earn so little that you can't even buy yourself a nice pair of shoes. A girl needs shoes. A girl needs a boyfriend with a nice fast car and a nice fat wallet. So Mercy finds a boyfriend who suits her needs. The trouble is, her big sister, sensible, married Connie, won't like it at all. As Mercy puts the cover on her typewriter, the thought of the bus ride home goes through her like a pain. It is her luck, she thinks. Everything is just her luck. If she had one of those university boys for a boyfriend, wouldn't he come and take her home every evening? Certainly, Joe would love to do exactly that, with his taxi. And he is as handsome as anything, and a good man, but, you know, a taxi is a taxi. The possibility of the other man actually coming to fetch her, oh well, she knows it will take some time before she'll be brave enough to ask for things like that from him. But it's hard not to think about it. Would it really be so dangerous? Doesn't one government car look like another? The hugeness of it, the dark glass, the driver in uniform. She can already see herself stepping out of the car to greet the other girls who look at her with eyes like knives. To begin with, she will be a little more careful. The driver can drop her under the neem trees in the morning and pick her up from there in the evening. Anyway, she will have to wait a little while for that, and it is just her bad luck. So for the meantime, it is going to be the local bus, with its dirty seats, unpleasant passengers, and rude conductors. Jesus! She doesn't wish herself dead or anything as stupidly final as that. Oh, no. She just wishes she could sleep deep and only wake up on the day of her first car ride to work. The new pair of black shoes are more sensible than their owner, though. As she walks out of the office, sing out of the office, along the road, and into the bus, and they start singing again along the path as she opens the front gate and walks to the door. "Sissy," Mercy called. "Hey, Mercy!" And the door opened to show the face of Connie, her big sister, 6 years older, and now heavy with her second child. Mercy dropped into the nearest chair. "Welcome home. How was the office today?" "Sister, don't ask. Look at my hands. My fingers are dead with typing. Oh, God, I don't know what to do." "Why, what is wrong?" asked Connie. "You tell me, what is right? Why should I be a typist?" "What else would you be?" "What a strange question. Is typing the only job there is in this world? You are a teacher, are you not?" said Mercy. But what? It's my fault. Is that what you're saying? I didn't do well enough in the exams, so I can't be a teacher or even a secretary. "Mercy, what is the matter?" said Connie. "What have I done? Why have you come home so angry?" Mercy broke into tears. "Oh, I'm sorry, Sissy. It's just that I am sick of everything. The office, living with you and your husband. I want a husband of my own. Children. I want... But you are young and beautiful. And married, well, it's you who are delaying it. Look at all these people who are running after you, said Connie. Sissy, I don't like what you are doing, so stop it. Okay. And there was a silence. Which of them could I marry? Said Mercy. Joe is, fine, but I just don't like him. Little sister, you and I can be truthful with one another. I am not that old or wise, but I can advise you a little. Joe drives someone else's car now. Well, you never know. Lots of taxi drivers own their taxis in the end, sometimes more than one. Of course, but what a pity that you are married already, or I could make a date for you with Joe. And they both burst out laughing. It was when Mercy got up to go to the bedroom that Connie noticed the new shoes. Hey, those are beautiful shoes. Are they new? From the other room, Mercy's voice came and went as she undressed and then dressed again. But that was not the reason for the uncertainty in her voice. Oh, I forgot to tell you about them. In fact, I was going to show them to you. I think it was on Tuesday I bought them. Or was it Wednesday? When I came home from the office, you and James had taken Akusoa out, and later I forgot all about them. I see. But they are very pretty. Were they expensive? No, not really. Mercy's answer came too quickly, and she said only last week that she didn't have a penny on her, thought Connie. And I believed her, because I know what they pay her is just not enough to live on. I've been thinking she manages very well, but these shoes... And she is not the type who would borrow money just to buy a pair of shoes. She would just wear her old pairs till things got better. Oh, I wish I knew what to do. I mean, I'm not her mother. And I wonder how James will see these problems. Sissy, you look worried, said Mercy. When don't I? With the baby coming in a couple of months, and the government's new controls on pay, on top of everything, I have dependable information that James is running after a new girl. Mercy laughed. Oh, Sissy, you always get dependable information on these things, but men are like that. They are selfish. No. It's just that women allow them to behave the way they do, instead of taking some freedom themselves. Well, if I had the chance to behave the same way, said Connie, I wouldn't make use of it. But why not? Because I love James. I love James, and I am not interested in any other man. Her voice was full of tears, but Mercy was amused. Oh, God! Now listen to that. It's women like you who keep all of us down. Well, I'm sorry, but it's how the good God made me. I'm sure I can love several men at the same time. Mercy! They burst out laughing again. And yet they are sad. But laughter is always best. Mercy complained that she was hungry, and so they went to the kitchen to heat up some food and eat. the two sisters alone. It is no use waiting for James.
Sissy, I'm going to see a film.
This from Messie. Where?
The Globe.
Are you going with Joe?
No.
Are you going alone?
No.
Careful, Connie. Who are you going with? Careful, Connie, please. Your little sister's eyes are looking angry. Look at the sudden lines around her mouth. Connie, a sister is a good thing, even a younger sister, particularly when you have no mother or father. Messie, who are you going out with?
Well, I had food in my mouth, and I had to finish it before I could answer you. No?
I am sorry. Connie's voice is soft.
And anyway, do I have to tell you everything?
Oh, no. It's just that I didn't think it was a question I was not allowed to ask. There was more silence. Connie cleared her throat and waited, afraid.
I am going out with Mensa Arthur,
Mercy said. As Connie asked the next question, she wondered if the words were leaving her lips. Mensa Arthur?
Yes.
Which one?
How many do you know?
Something jumped in Connie's chest, and she wondered what it was. Perhaps it was the baby. Do you mean that politician? She said.
Yes.
But Mercy. Little sister only sits and chews her food. But Mercy. Chew, chew, chew. But Mercy.
What?
Said Mercy. He is so old. Chew, chew, chew. Perhaps that really doesn't matter, does it? But they say he has so many wives and girlfriends. Please, little sister, your private life is not my business, but you just said yourself that you wanted a man of your own. That man belongs to so many women already. That silence again. Then there was only Mercy's footsteps as she went to wash her plate, and then left the kitchen. Tears ran down Connie's face. She heard Mercy having a bath, then getting ready to leave the house. The shoes. Then she was gone. Connie hadn't meant to start an argument. What use is a sister if you can't have a talk with her? And what would their parents say if they were alive? They were good churchgoers. They feared God. Running around with an old and evil politician would horrify them. A big car arrived outside the house, a huge machine from the white man's land. The sound of its super-smooth engine was soft and gentle, unlike the hard banging of the girl's high-heeled shoes. When Mensa Arthur saw Mercy, he reached across and opened the door to the passenger seat. She sat down, and the door closed with a smooth little sound as the car slid away. After they had gone a mile or so from the house, the man started a conversation. "And how is my darling today?"
I am well.
But everything about her said, bad news. "You look serious today. Why?" She remained silent and still. "My dear, what is the matter?"
Nothing.
"Oh?" He cleared his throat. "Eh? And how were the shoes?"
Very nice. In fact, I am wearing them now.
They feel a little small, but then all new shoes are like that. And the handbag? He asked. I like it very much, too. My sister noticed them. I mean the shoes. Now the bad news was out. Did she ask you where you got them from? No. He cleared his throat again. Where did we agree to go tonight? The Globe. But I don't want to see a film. Is that so? I am glad, because people always notice things. But they won't be too surprised. What are you saying, my dear? Nothing. Okay. So what shall we do? Shall I drive to the seaway? Oh, yes. He drove to the seaway, to a part of the beach they knew very well. She loves it here, with the wide sandy beach and the old sea. She has often wished to drive very near to the end of the sands until the tires of the car touched the water. A very foolish idea, as he said sharply to her the first time she mentioned it. It was in his "I am old enough to be your father" voice. There are always disadvantages. Things could be different. If she had a younger lover, handsome, maybe not rich like this man here, but with enough money to afford a fast car, a car like the one she has seen in films, with tires that can do everything, and they would drive to exactly where the sea and the sand meet. We are here, he said. Don't let's get out. Let's just sit inside and talk. Okay, but what is it, my darling? I have told my sister about you, said Mercy. Good God, why? I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. Childish. It was not necessary at all. She is not your mother, he said. No, but she is all I have, and she has been very good to me. Well, it's her duty, a sister's duty. Then it's my duty, a sister's duty, to tell her about something like this. I may get into trouble. Don't be silly, he said. I normally take good care of my girlfriends. I see, she said, and for the first time in the 1 month since she agreed to be this man's lover, the tears which suddenly rose into her eyes came there naturally. And you promised you wouldn't tell her. It was Father's voice now. Don't be angry. After all, she was sure to hear it one day. My darling, you are too wise. What did she say? She wasn't happy. Don't worry. Find out something she wants very much, but cannot get in this country. I know for sure she wants an electric motor for her sewing machine. I am going to London next week on government business, so if you bring me the details of the machine, I shall get her the motor. Thank you. Oh, and let me know as soon as you want to leave your sister's place. I have got you one of the government houses. Oh, she said, pleased for the first time since this awful day had begun. Down on the beach, the old sea slides up and down the sands. He takes no notice of humans. He has seen things happen along these beaches. Different things, the same things. He never does anything about them. Why should he? People are unimportant. Here is a 50-year-old big man who thinks he is somebody, and a 23-year-old child who chooses a silly way to fight life's problems. As they play with each other's bodies on the back seat of the car, the old C shuts his eyes, bored. He moves further up the sands, but the car is parked safely away from the sea, and the rising water cannot reach its tires. James has come home late, but then he has been coming back late for the past few weeks. Connie is crying, and he knows it as soon as he enters the bedroom. He hates tears because, like many men, he knows they are one of the strongest weapons that women have.
James?
Oh, are you still awake? He quickly sits beside her. Connie, what's the matter? You've been crying again?
James, where were you?
Connie, I have warned you about this. I won't let you question me like a prisoner every time I am a little late. She sat up. A little late? It is nearly 2 o'clock. Anyway, you won't believe me if I tell you the truth. She lies down again and turns her face to the wall, and James throws himself down beside her.
James, there is something much more serious.
You have heard about my newest affair? Yes, but that is not what I am talking about. Jesus, is it possible that there is anything more important than that? And as they laugh, they know that something has happened. One of those things which, with luck, will keep them together for some time to come. But, James, what shall I do? About what? Mercy, she is having an affair with Mensa Arthur. Wonderful. James, we must do something about it. It's very serious. Why shouldn't she? But it is wrong, and she is ruining herself. Since every other girl she knows has ruined herself and made money out of it, why shouldn't she? Her friends don't earn any more than she does, but every day they wear new dresses, shoes, and so on to work. What do you expect her to do? The fact that other girls do it doesn't mean that Mercy should do it too. You're being very silly. If I were Mercy, I am sure that's exactly what I would do. And you know I mean it too. James is cruel, terrible, mean. Connie breaks into fresh tears, and James puts his arm around her. There is one thing he must make her understand, though. In fact, tell her to stay with him. He may be able to speak to someone in your government office, so that after the baby is born, you can keep your job there. James, you want me to use my sister? She is using herself, remember? James, you are terrible. And maybe he would even agree to get us a new car from abroad. I shall pay for everything, but that would be better than that old car I was thinking about. Think of that. You will ride in it alone. Well, that was a few months before the coup. Mensa Arthur did go to London and bought something for all his wives and girlfriends. He even remembered the motor for Connie's machine. When Mercy took it to her, she was quite confused. She had wanted this thing for a long time, and yet one side of her said that accepting it was wrong. She could not discuss the whole business with Mercy, and James always took Mercy's side. She took the motor with thanks. The price she paid was her silence about Mercy. In a short while, Mercy left the house to go and live in the government house that Mensa Arthur had managed to get for her. Then, a couple of weeks later, the coup. Mercy left her new place before anybody could throw her out. James never got his car. Connie's new baby was born. Of the three, Connie was happiest with these changes. In her eyes, Mensa Arthur and everything that went with him meant trouble for her sister, and for her own feelings too. Now, things could return to normal. Mercy would move back to the house, perhaps find a man who was more ordinary, let's say. Then she would get married, and these terrible times would be forgotten. God is good. He brought the coup before her sister's affair became widely known and ruined her name. The arrival of the new baby has ended all the difficulties between James and Connie. He is that kind of man, and she that kind of woman. Mercy has not been seen for many days. Connie is beginning to get worried. James heard the baby's loud cries the moment he opened the front gate. He ran in, holding the few things he had bought on his way home. "We are in here," called Connie. "I certainly could hear you. If there is anything people in this country have, it is a big mouth." "Don't I agree? But we're well. He's eating normally and everything. You?" "Nothing new. More stories about the ex-politicians." "What do you mean, nothing new?" said Connie. "Look at the excellent job the soldiers have done, cleaning up the country of all that debt. I feel free already, and I can't wait to get out and enjoy it." James laughed bitterly. "All I know is that Mensa Arthur is in prison. No use. And I'm not getting my car." "I never took you seriously on that car business." "Honestly, Connie, don't you want me, your husband, to be successful and get rich?" "Not out of my sister's ruin." "Ruin, ruin, ruin, Christ! See, Connie, the funny thing is that I am sure you are the only person who thought it was a disaster to have a sister who was the girlfriend of a big man." "Okay, now all is over, and don't let's argue about it." "Was it you who arranged the coup, I wonder? Just because of your sister? It wouldn't surprise me." And Connie wondered why he said that with so much bitterness. She wondered if... "Has Mercy been here?" asked James. "Not yet. Later, maybe. I had hoped she would move back here and start all over again." "I'm not surprised she hasn't. In fact, if I were her, I wouldn't come back here either. Not to listen to endless good advice from Big Sister. No, thank you." "Mercy is my only sister. I can't sit and see her life going wrong without feeling it. I'm grateful that something put a stop to that. What worries me now is that she won't tell me where she's living. She talks about a girlfriend, but I'm not sure that I know her." "If I were you, I would stop worrying, because it seems Mercy can take care of herself quite well," said James. Then there was the sound of a car stopping outside the house. Ah, but the footsteps were unmistakably Mercy's. Are those shoes the old pair which were new a couple of months ago? Or are they the newest pair? And here she is herself, the pretty one, a happy, smiling Messie.
Hello, hello, my people.
And she goes straight to the baby.
Dow Daddy Day, how's my dear young man today? Grow up fast and come to take care of Auntie Messie.
Both Connie and James cannot take their eyes off her. Connie says, "He says to Auntie Messie, he is fine." Still they watch her, horrified, and wondering what it's all about, because they both know it is about something.
Listen, people, I brought a friend to meet you, a man.
Where is he? From James. Bring him in. From Connie.
You know, Sissy, you are a new mother. I thought I'd come and ask you if it's all right.
Of course, say James and Connie, and for some reason they are both afraid of what is coming.
He is Captain Ashley.
Which one?
How many do you know?
James still thinks it is impossible. And do you mean the army officer who has just been given the job of...
Yes.
Wasn't there a picture in the Crystal over the weekend of his daughter's wedding, and another one of him with his wife and children and grandchildren? Said James.
Yes,
said Messie. Connie just sits there with her mouth open that wide.
Chapter 7. Tristan Comes for Dinner. Anna had a pleasant day. It was difficult not to. Polreath was the same interesting place, and the weather was wonderful again. She walked around and did a bit of shopping. Some people in the village were beginning to greet her. "Mornin', another nice day," they said, and she smiled back. She sat in the front garden of the cottage, reading and watching all the comings and goings in the harbour. She was learning to recognize some of the different boats, which ones were fishing boats, and which ones were owned by visitors. Tristan's boat, full of passengers, went out, and she decided she'd find out where he was going the next day. It might be nice to do something with other people tomorrow, she thought. She looked at Stephen's fish in the fridge and remembered how pleased he'd looked when he'd got off Tristan's boat earlier that day. "I'll have some later," she thought. "Don't want to waste them." In the late afternoon, she went for a swim. Back home, she showered and sat with a glass of white wine in the front garden until the sun disappeared behind the hill. Then she went inside to get some dinner. There was a knock on the door, and Tristan appeared. "Hello? I hope I'm not late." "Pardon?" said Anna. "Late for what?" "Dinner. Stephen asked me for dinner." Tristan could see something was wrong. "Oh, no, I can see you didn't know." "I'm sorry. Come in. No, I didn't know. The thing is," explained Anna, "Stephen's had to go back to London. He had a phone call when you were out fishing this morning, and he's gone." "Oh, I'm sorry. Is everything all right? I mean, I hope nothing bad has happened." Tristan meant what he said, but if he was honest with himself, he was also pleased that Anna was now here alone, without Stephen. "It's a crisis at work," Anna said. "He didn't want to leave, but he'll be back on Thursday, he says." "Oh, good. Anyway, I'll go. Don't worry about dinner," said Tristan. "No, stay, really," she said. "I was just grilling the fish. I can easily do some more. Help yourself to a glass of wine." "Well, if you're sure. Thanks." Tristan poured himself a drink, and filled up Anna's glass as well. "Can I do anything?" he asked. "You could cut the bread, if you want, and take all the plates and stuff outside. Is it okay with you if we eat outside?" "Fine." Tristan carried everything into the front garden and waited for Anna. He felt a bit strange sitting there, remembering other times he'd had dinner at the cottage. Jill and he used to eat there most evenings during their first summer together. But when she was here earlier this year, though, she seemed to prefer to eat at his house, or in the village somewhere. The cottage had become Jill's private world. Anna brought the fish. Strange, he thought to himself. There's Jill and Stephen in London, and Anna and me here. Tristan talked a bit about his day. After the fishing that morning, he'd been quite busy. 2 trips with a full boat each time, up the coast, looking at the land from the sea. He seemed surprised when she asked him if he ever got bored doing the same trips every week. "Never bored," he said. "Annoyed, maybe, at some of the stupid questions people ask sometimes. But basically, I can't think of a better way of earning a living." The phone rang and made them both jump. "That'll be Stephen, I hope," said Anna, and went to answer it. Tristan sat and thought how much he liked Anna's company. She came back out a few minutes later. "Yes, it was. He said sorry about tonight, about forgetting to tell me you were coming to dinner, and he says London is hot, airless, and dirty." "Does he enjoy his job, whatever it is?" asked Tristan. "He works for an advertising agency. To be honest, I don't know if he does enjoy it anymore. He used to, but recently something's changed. Maybe he's changed. He was hoping, well, actually, I was hoping, this holiday would give him a chance to have a good think about it all. Perhaps now the decisions will be taken for him. He may come back on Thursday without a job. But I'm sorry, you probably don't want to hear all that. You were just being polite." "No, I wasn't, if you understand me. I'm interested. I like the little I know about Stephen. I enjoyed our fishing trip this morning." Tristan paused and then said, "Maybe it's my turn, to be honest. You see, you and Stephen make me think about myself and my, I don't know what to call her, woman friend, girlfriend, whatever." Anna waited for him to go on. He told her about Jill and him, and the difficulties of continuing a long-distance relationship. He spoke quite openly about it all. Anna couldn't help comparing him with Stephen. Stephen always had such difficulty trying to explain something personal. The death of his father had hit him hard, but he still hadn't really talked about it with her. Only once, about 3 months ago, when she'd found him in the kitchen crying. Then he'd managed to talk about it a bit. Poor darling Stephen. People who only saw his public face just didn't know him. They opened another bottle of wine and carried on talking, about him, about her and Stephen, about the village, and the people who lived there. Finally, Tristan stood up. "It's time I went. Thank you for a really nice evening. You're a good listener. So are you." "Shall I see you tomorrow?" he asked. "Yes, I was thinking of coming on one of your trips. Where are you going in the morning?" asked Anna. "Out past Skellig and round the rocks." He took a step nearer her. "It's a good trip. The boat leaves at 10. "Fine. I'll be there." Maybe it was the wine, but he seemed to be standing closer. He put his hands on her shoulders and kissed her quite firmly on the lips. "Good night. See you in the morning," he said, and closed the gate behind him. Chapter 8. On Wave Dancer. When Anna woke the next morning, she forgot that Stephen wasn't in bed next to her, until she turned over to touch him. She looked at her watch. 8 o'clock. He'd be on his way to the office now, probably caught in traffic. Poor thing. She lay there for a while thinking about him, and wondering how much today would change their lives. Coffee, she thought, and I think I'll go and get the newspaper. I can do the crossword before I go on the trip. On her way down to the shop, she started thinking about last night's dinner with Tristan. She wondered if today they'd be as easy with each other as they'd been last night. The woman in the shop said, "Morning. Did you have a nice dinner last night?" "Yes, thank you," said Anna in a surprised voice. The woman continued, "I saw you when I was walking my dog. You can't keep anything secret in this place for long." Anna laughed. I must remember that, she thought. Back home, she tried the crossword, but it was too difficult, so she left it for later. She could see Tristan's boat below with Tristan on board. She noticed there was more movement on the sea today. It wasn't rough, but the boats were moving up and down a little. She went inside to collect her backpack from the cottage and went down to the harbour. Tristan was by the boat, talking to another man. "Morning, Anna," said Tristan. "Everything okay? Oh, this is Gary. He works with me on the boat trips. Anna's staying at Dolphin Cottage," he said to Gary. They smiled at each other. Gary looked at her quite closely, and she wondered if they'd been talking about her when she arrived. "I haven't got a ticket or anything for this trip," said Anna. "Do I need one?" "No," replied Gary. "You pay on the boat. Have you got a jacket or something with you? You might need it today. We were just saying that the sea'll probably be a bit rough on the other side of the island. The water comes over the boat in certain places. Sit near the front on the right side if you don't want to get wet," Tristan added. "All right, thanks." He jumped onto the boat and then turned to help Anna. He held out his hand and took hers very firmly. He kept hold until she had sat down. Other people were now arriving and getting on the boat. Most of them seemed to know Tristan. Perhaps they went on his trips often. Anna recognized one or two who she'd seen on the beach or in the village somewhere. Everybody seemed very well prepared. Jackets, extra sweaters, binoculars, cameras. Ready for a transatlantic expedition, she thought. Then she looked at Tristan and Gary in their shorts and T-shirts and wondered which group had got it right. Tristan started explaining to everyone where they were going and what they might see on the trip. This gave her a good chance to look at him carefully. He told a few funny stories, and the passengers laughed in the right places. Anna found herself thinking how attractive he was, and not just physically. He had an air of confidence about him that she liked. But then he must have felt Anna's eyes on him, because he turned towards her, and she blushed. She could feel her cheeks going red, just like a schoolgirl caught doing something wrong. How embarrassing. As soon as they left the harbour, the sea became much rougher, but nobody seemed to be worried. In fact, it was quite fun trying to move your body with the movement of the boat, a bit like riding a horse, Anna thought. Once or twice, when the boat went into a wave, water came over the side, and again people seemed to think it was all part of the fun. They passed the island and moved on towards the rocks. From Pole Reef, you couldn't really see very much beyond the island, so Anna was surprised at the size of some of the rocks, almost like mini-islands. Tristan took the boat close in and slowed the engine. "There are very often seals around here. In fact, we might see some young ones. The first ones are usually born around this time," he said quietly. "Look," said a man at the back of the boat. "There are two in the water over there." Everybody focused their binoculars where he was pointing. The heads of two adult seals appeared, and then disappeared behind a wave. Someone tried to take a picture. Tristan took the boat in and out of the rocks. They managed to see some seals out of the water, lying on rocks, almost sunbathing, but no young ones. They were about to turn for home when Gary saw something white on the rocks just above the water. It was a very young seal. "Don't make too much noise," said Tristan. "We don't want to frighten it, or worry its mum wherever she is. This is the first one I've seen this year. I guess it's only a few days old." Not many people on the boat had ever seen a young seal before, so they were really pleased. Anna thought how helpless it looked, all by itself on the rock. And as if he knew what she was thinking, Tristan said, "The first few days are dangerous ones for the young. Some of the bigger seabirds attack them. They go for their eyes." The boat was moving up and down quite a lot, and it was difficult to stand. Suddenly, the boat was caught by a bigger wave, and an elderly woman fell sideways. In trying to save herself, she hit her arm on the side. Immediately, people crowded round her and started talking. "Are you all right? Here, let's get you up onto a seat. Just sit quietly for a minute. Oh, what a nasty shock." Tristan moved the boat out into deeper water, away from the rocks. He looked at Anna, and his eyes seemed to be asking her, "Could you?" She went over to the woman. "Would you like me to look?" she said. "I'm a nurse." "I'm all right," she said. "Oh, I think I just hurt my arm, that's all." Anna moved the woman and her husband up to the front of the boat. She looked at the arm, which was quite red and already beginning to get bigger. Very gently she pressed, and the woman made a small sound. "Well, Mrs. Anna began. Sheila, the woman said. "Sheila, I don't think you've broken it, but it'd be a good idea to have it x-rayed when we get back, just to make sure." Anna looked up. "Tristan, where's the nearest place for that?" "The cottage hospital in Kingham. It's not far. I'll take you in the car, Mrs. Taylor." Anna found a bandage in the first aid box and tied Mrs. Taylor's arm up. The poor old woman had gone a bit white now and was shaking. Someone passed her a cup of tea. I was right, thought Anna. They came prepared for anything. By the time they reached Polreath, Mrs. Taylor looked better, but her arm was clearly giving her a lot of pain. Fortunately, Tristan's car was near the harbour, and Mr. and Mrs. Taylor got in the back. "Would you like me to come too?" asked Anna. "Please," said Tristan. He looked more worried than anybody. I wonder if he's insured for accidents, she thought. I suppose something like this is not good for his business. The X-ray showed bruising, but the arm wasn't broken. "I'm really sorry, Mrs. Taylor," said Tristan. "It's not your fault," she replied. "You're not responsible for the sea. I shouldn't have been standing up." "Well, let's go back home. I'll buy everyone a drink when we get back. I think we all need one," Tristan said. The Taylors didn't want a drink, so Tristan and Anna left them at their hotel. "Your arm will hurt a lot tonight," said Anna, "so take some aspirins before you go to bed. They'll help with the pain." "Thank you for your help," said Mr. Taylor. "We'll probably see you around somewhere in the next day or two." "Poor old thing," said Anna, drinking her beer in the fisherman's arms. "She was lucky today, but I don't think she'll be doing much for the next couple of days. That arm will hurt for a bit." "I was lucky," replied Tristan with a shake of the head. "It's fortunate she was so nice about it. Someone different might have complained and spread the word about. People would soon begin to think I was a bit careless with my passengers, and there are 1 or 2 people in this village who would be quite happy to see me lose business." "Really? Why?" asked Anna. "Oh, jealousy, I suppose," Tristan replied. "It's a small place, Polreath. Feelings get a bit strong sometimes. Have they got reason to be jealous? Anna asked, remembering the conversation that she and Stephen had heard in the bar the other day. Well, he laughed, I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer that. You should ask them. People might think I've got a good life, what with a boat and 2 cottages. And maybe a 3rd cottage to come? Anna added. Why do you say that? Tristan asked sharply. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have. I was just repeating something we heard about you in here the other day, Anna said, wishing she hadn't asked. A guy called Jack was saying that you were interested in another cottage in the village. Aha, Jack. There you are, you see. The stories that spread in a small village. Tristan looked a bit angry. Well, look, I'm sorry, Anna said quickly. It's none of my business. Shall we change the subject? I meant to say earlier how much I enjoyed the trip, except for the accident, of course. You made it interesting for everyone. Thanks. There was a bit of an uncomfortable silence. Tristan stared into his beer and then said, I don't want another cottage. I was interested in the price because it's more or less the same size as Dolphin Cottage, and I wanted to know how much I might be able to sell that for. You want to sell Dolphin Cottage? Said Anna in complete surprise. Oh, don't! It's too lovely to lose. I don't really know whether I want to or not. I might need to get some money. It's got some rather mixed memories for me. Jill, you know. And as you now understand, owning 2 places can cause bad feeling. Anyway, I've got to go. Believe it or not, I've got another trip to do. A quick 1 hour up the coast. He waited a second or two before continuing. But I was wondering, if you're not doing anything tonight, can I buy you dinner? To thank you for dinner last night, and for Mrs. Taylor. He looked at her carefully to see what she would say. Would she think he was just being friendly, or more than that? He meant it to be friendly, but he had an awful feeling he wanted more. Thank you. I'd like that, she said, returning his look. I thought we could drive to a place in the next village. It'd be a change. Meet in the car park at 8? Fine. Have a safe trip this afternoon. She ordered a coffee and sat there, wondering what she was doing, and feeling guilty because she hadn't really thought about Stephen all day.